Everybody feeling? Is everybody feeling cozy? It's almost Thanksgiving. What do we got? How many of you are in the States and you celebrate Thanksgiving? And how many of you are not in the States and you still celebrate Thanksgiving? I don't know. Do some other countries? I don't know. That's kind of a dumb question. I probably shouldn't even ask that. But I wonder sometimes if other places celebrate Thanksgiving. Okay. Yeah, it's coming up on Thursday. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I love you so much. I'm so thankful for all of you. I really am. And I'm really thankful for the game industry in 2026. It's weird, 2025 or 2024 was kind of like this weird like culmination of publishers and funding and studios closing and a lot of funding issues. It was just a scary time in 2024. And rising from the ashes of the game industry, both indie and AAA, is what we're seeing now, which is like solo game development, tiny small games, little friend sloppy games, little idle games, and had a great conversation with Chris Zukowski about this. And I've honestly been talking about this with a ton of game developers. So I wanted to do a workshop to talk about why you might want to do solo development next year in 2026. And if you want to do solo development in 2026, how exactly should you go about doing solo development? I just went up one path on a mountain and it was hard. That was called Pinstripe. I did it solo for 5 years. Then I went up another path on a mountain and I did a team of 2 people, me and Eric. We did a small game called Neversong. That took 3 years. Then I went on another path and that was like 20 people, like different contractors and people all over the world, with Twisted Tower, which is my 3rd commercial release. And I've been on 3 different paths and I've come back down the mountain and I have things to tell you. Lessons I've learned, believe me, mistakes I've made, things that I want you to know. And I wish I had listened to someone like me. I'm being serious. I wish I would have listened. I wish someone like me would have said, hey, watch out for these things. So I'm going to do my best today to give you guys a cautionary tale and also some things that I'm going to be doing in 2026 with solo development. Does this mean I'll do solo development forever? No, but I'm probably going to do solo development in 2026. So let's talk about that. I wanted to say a huge thank you, by the way, to Manuel, Eric, Damien, Edmund, Thurston, Adam, Ankimo. That's hard to say. It's a beautiful name, but that's hard to say. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. Jero, Morgan, Zur, David, Victor, Rhiannon. I wanted to say a huge welcome to Full-Time Game Dev. And by the way, guys, Full-Time Game Dev is on its biggest sale event ever. This is the biggest one ever. And Black Friday is always a huge sale time. So I do a lot of promotion for Black Friday. I hope you understand. It's just a big time to sell my program, Full-Time Game Dev. And honestly, it helps fund the studio for Q1 next year. And it means a lot to me. But I wanted to let you guys know it is 50% off. 2D Art Pro is also free. 3D Art Pro, my 3D Art and 2D Art program, those are free. YouTube Game Dev, which is my YouTube course, that's free. It's not like how do I make videos. It's more like how do you make a profitable YouTube channel and how do you get wish lists and how do you get sponsors and all that stuff. And also my course Stream My Game, which is free as well. But again, 50% off Full-Time Game Dev. What is Full-Time Game Dev? You're going to learn how to market your game, how to hit the Steam front page, how to get publishers, how to get Kickstarter campaigns funded, how to get press coverage, how to make a game in Unity, Godot, or Unreal. You can take your pick. Just pick one. How to code, right? What else? Am I missing anything? There's a ton. There's a ton in the course, over 4,500 students. And actually, believe it or not, students have actually gone full-time with the course. And they've told me, which is incredible. And they told me I could put their reviews on the front page here. So it's pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. And if you're a student, let me know in the chat what you think about the program. Anyway, more about that later. I hope you guys understand that I will do an ad read later, if that's okay. But enough about the course. I want to talk more about you guys. I want to talk about, let's see here, one sec here. Let me pull this up. Okay. We're going to do split screen. There we go. How to Make Games Alone in 2026, a PowerPoint presentation by Thomas Brush. This is actually going to be really valuable. I put this together this morning, actually. So this is fresh. This is new. It's fresh from my brain. I've been making games for 10 years. And this workshop is 2 days. So it's today and tomorrow. So be sure to show up for tomorrow's as well. How's everybody doing in the chat? Let me double check the chat. We doing good, guys? Does the sound work okay? Daxwell, how you doing? Frank Ott, how you doing? Thomas Stewart, hey buddy. You know, whenever I'm doing a live stream, I like to think about one avatar, one person of like who do I want to direct this towards? And Thomas, how about I direct it towards you? That'll help me, I think, in this workshop. I don't want it to sound too salesy, and I also don't want it to sound too gimmicky. So I'm just gonna think about if I was getting a beer with Thomas Stewart, which Thomas I'd love to do one day. That's how I want to do this. So hope you guys are doing good. Come on in. All right. So it's a 2-day workshop dedicated to making games alone in 2026. Do you have to make games alone? No. Am I telling you you should? Maybe. And am I going to tell you how? Like the right way to do it? Yes. There are no promises. Thomas is not going to promise anything. In fact, I can usually promise that most people won't make a game. It's tough, isn't it, Thomas? It's very, very hard to make games, even small games. But I believe you can do it. I believe you guys can do it. So I'm going to give you what I got. And if you've got the motivation in 2026, let's go. Let's make a game, and let's get it done. And we're going to talk about solo development here. Okay, so why listen to a YouTuber? Freaking YouTubers, man. Freaking game developers who are YouTubers. Screw them. They just shill and they're liars. Well, I've published 3 games. None of them went viral. Who cares, man? Each one of these made like 500K. So I'm not sorry. Neversong, well, I made more than 500K with consoles and Apple Arcade and stuff. Pinstripe, well above 500K. Both of those were published. Serenity Forge published Neversong. Armor Games published Pinstripe. And then 3D Realms is currently publishing Twisted Tower. They're funding the development. And I'm just grateful for all 3 of these. All 3 of them have been just so supportive and helpful, and I really appreciate them. I've been published 3 separate times. I'm just trying to give you some credibility here of like why I do have some things to say, and I do have some advice to say. I have all very positive scores on Steam. The only one that we're still unsure about is Twisted Tower. I have a very positive, over 1,000 reviews for my demo on Steam. You can play it if you want. We'll see how the game does. Fingers crossed. We'll see. It's been a really hard journey, I'll be honest with you guys. I'm in the doldrums right now. And I'm not complaining. I'm just trying to let you know where I'm at. So if I get emotional or something during this webinar, it's because Twisted Tower it's been a journey. It's been a journey for sure. I've been featured by Time Magazine and Forbes. It's important to note that my first game, Pinstripe, I did completely solo. It's like a 3 to 5 hour game. I think, I'm trying to remember, a 3 to 5 hour game. And I did everything. I'm not joking. Music, art, code. There were no assets back then. I mean, what I mean is I didn't know about assets back then. I think I may have used a save system asset and like a character controller, but like art assets and stuff like that, I didn't use. So that was a solo game. And then I did some teamwork games. Neversong was 2 people. Twisted Tower here. Dude, that credits list is long. And it's one of those things where you're like, yeah, there's like 4 people on the project. And then, but when you actually put the credits together, you're like, holy crap, there's like 20 people involved. So you've been published, that's it, Thomas? Well, no, I've also done Kickstarter campaigns. Both of them raised about $100,000. The reason I say about is Once Upon a Coma, which ended up being renamed to Neversong, that raised $85,000, and then Pinstripe raised $106,000. I'm just trying to tell you some credibility, okay? I like to establish credibility because there's a lot of game dev advice on YouTube. And look, I'm not perfect. I've said some things I don't agree with anymore. But there's a lot of advice out there. And so I'm trying to give you some credibility here. All right, so let's go. Day one of the workshop for solo game development 2026. The title is Finding the Oil. What? What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Thomas? I'm talking about finding the oil. I don't want you to just dig for oil. I want you to find the oil. What is he talking about? Okay, so if you were to build an oil rig, and by the way, this is the Berkut oil. I'm trying to say it right. Berkut. It's in Russia, I think. $12 billion. Why would someone build a $12 billion oil rig? Does anyone know? Why would we build a $12 billion oil rig? Who can guess? And what did they just pick it randomly on the ocean? And by the way, Thomas, here's a great idea for a game. Would we just pick it randomly on the ocean? No. You find the oil and then you build it. They find like a oil bed and then they build this $12 billion rig. They build it because the oil is there and they're going to make their money back. That's the reason. My theory is they're going to make well beyond twice as much as the rig, right? That's why they built it. They found the oil first. So here's what I'm saying. I don't want you to just guess if you've got a good idea for a game. I'm being completely honest here. I'm done with that. Now, it doesn't mean you don't make a game you want to make, and it doesn't mean you don't lean into your talents, and it doesn't mean that you try and find the best genre. I'm not even talking about genre. I'm not talking about, is this a cool, like, viral game? I'm not thinking about that. When I'm saying, is it a good idea, there's actually 4 elements, okay? We'll talk about this in a second. See, here's the thing. You personally may like your game idea. You're a solo dev, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to crunch. I'm going to work for a year on this thing. I love this idea. But we actually need to make sure there's 3 other variables that are true as well. You want to love it. And we'll talk about that. You want to love your game idea. But there are 3 other variables that they really should be true as well. Okay? And I'm sort of giving you a little foreshadowing here. This is Brave Boy, and I loved this game idea. But it died. And we'll talk about it. And it needed to. All right, let's talk about finding the oil. Finding the oil is the idea, okay? If you don't get the metaphor, we need to go find the oil before we build the full game. We need to find the good idea. And by the way, it's not just finding a good idea, it's building a prototype, and we're going to talk all about this. We need to go find, where is this good idea? I'm a solo developer. I don't have infinite resources. I don't have a massive team. I'm going to be spending my lonely time working on this game. Where's the oil? Where is the good idea? So there's 4 ways, four things you need to look for as you're scanning the world or scanning your brain for a good idea. Number 1, you need to love it. Number 2, you need to be able to finish it. Surprise, surprise. You need to be able to finish it. And we're going to talk about these. Number 3, they need to love it. Who? They need to love it. We're going to talk about that. And number 4, this one's controversial. It's marketable. And it's controversial because people will say, well, but they love it, so it's marketable. Maybe. We'll talk about that, okay? All right, this one's easy, but we're going to just run through this. Does this make sense, guys? And that's so true, Tim. You thought the Brave Boy was a great idea and it was a great concept. Me too. But we'll talk about why it died. And it's related to one of the 4 elements in that Venn diagram. Look, it's important. Here's the thing really quick. It's important to go clockwise here. The top at 12 o'clock, that's the most important. As we go to the right to you'll finish it, that's second. At the bottom there, they love it, that's third. And then 4 is it's marketable. So we want to go in order clockwise. Okay? So we're going to start with the most important one. Do not make a game you don't love, period. Especially if you're a solo game dev. Now, if you're working for EA in Saudi Arabia, just make a game that's profitable. But if you're a solo developer and you've got limited time, limited resources, you're not going to finish a game you don't love. So make a game you love. Now, this is actually more complicated than you think. You tend to love what you know, and you tend to know what you love. I'll say that one more time. You tend to know what you love and you tend to love what you know. So make what you know. Make what you've always loved. Make what you've always known. If Wind Waker is your favorite game, oh, it's 20 years old. Who cares? Make that. Thomas only makes boomer shooters, or Thomas only makes early 2000s games because he can't get out of his high school years. Well, that's what I love. Sorry. Don't worry, and this is so important, don't worry about criticism from people who don't love that thing. So if people are on Twitter saying, why are you making a deck builder? Deck builders are out of style, or deck builders are so 2024 or 2025. Oh, why are you making an idle clicker? Everybody's making an idle clicker. Or an idle game. If that's what you love, that's what you love. So just don't worry about criticism from people who aren't obsessed with that thing. Because at the end of the day, you're not trying to sell to those people. You're not trying to sell a game to people who don't like a genre. You're trying to sell to people who like a genre. So the people you want to listen to, if you want to take criticism from people who also love that genre, because they're going to give you honest, true feedback. I love Alice Madness Returns. Something in my soul, before I was born, I was here. I lived in this game. My soul cries out for Alice Madness Returns. My soul cries out for BioShock. My soul cries out for Tim Burton movies. That's what I love, and that's what I've always loved, and that's what I know. So I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm not going to change. Because if I make something else, it's not going to work. It's just not. It doesn't mean you can't research and learn, but that's what I know. And I'm really gifted at what I love. And you're probably really gifted at what you love. Does that make sense? Okay, Just Peachy says, I've spent way too much time worrying about what other people think. I just want to make something that makes me happy, and hopefully it'll make others happy too. Bingo. And honestly, that's a good commercial decision. It really is. Why on earth would you want to make something that you hate? Why would that end up being beautiful or profitable or fun? Make what you love. Make what you love. Okay, let's move on. Second part of the quadrant. This is so important. And it's way more complicated than you think, because all these questions here, I always thought, yeah, I'll finish it. And I've been doing this for what? Since I was 18. I'm 35. I've been doing it since I was 18. Yeah, I'll finish that idea. And then it always turns into this big bloated mess. And I end the project crawling across the finish line. Miserable. Why does that keep happening to Thomas? Well, I'm here on my return journey after going to Mount Doom to tell you these things. These are questions, or these are things you need to do as a solo developer to answer the question, or to actually finish your game. Okay. Number one, this might be controversial. I don't care, because I was in a podcast with Chris Sikowski and he said it was offensive, or I think he was joking, but he said it was offensive that I called Friend Slop Doritos or compared them to snacks. I'm going to compare any small game that's like $3 to $10, something like a treat. It's like a little treat, or it's like a cappuccino. It's like, here you go. Why is it priced as much as a cappuccino? Because that's kind of what it is. It's this little hit. Now, it doesn't mean it can't be replayed and replayed and replayed and replayed, but it's got that sense of value to it. It's a snack. So I want you to aim for, if you're making a game solo, and I'd love your thoughts, and if anyone's in the chat who makes games, like, I would love if a Jonas Tyroller was here. If he agreed that something like a treat or a snack or just this small, delicate, polished thing is a good thing to aim for, because I think it is. That's what I'm going to aim for. I've got an idea in my head right now where it's just this beautiful, small treat. Aim for it to be $3 to $10. Don't aim for 15. Don't aim for 20. Now, this is just my opinion. This is my advice. There are going to be some outliers of people who should probably aim for 20, 25 bucks as a solo dev. Congratulations. But most solo devs aim for $3 to $10. Maybe land somewhere in like 5. Aim for $20,000 to $150,000 in revenue. Now, obviously, you can make $500K. I've released a $15. Here's the thing. I went beyond all of this. Those 3 things, I went beyond. Neversong, Pinstripe, Twisted Tower, All three of those things I went beyond. And I am exhausted. And I spent 5 years making a game that was worth $15. And it's not easy. I'll just say that. It's not easy. So aim for 20,000 to 150,000. Okay? Finally, or not finally, the second to last. This is kind of a weird phrase, so I'll explain it. I need you to budget emotionally for small and precious. Those words need to be running through your head. This game is small. This game is precious. This game is small. This game is precious. Don't say slop. This game is small and this game is precious. It's like a little pearl. It's a little diamond. I need you to budget emotionally for that. Now, what I mean by that is you're going to get to a point when you're 6 months into development, and in your head, you start to think of the game as bigger than it is. Oh, I need to make a huge sprawling map. And, oh, players are going to hate this because it's too small. Or you're going to even judge yourself. Why am I making such a small, silly, stupid game? Budget emotionally for that, because you start to get to this point about 5 months in where you start to make it way bigger. You don't need to. Keep reminding yourself, this is small, this is precious. This is small, this is precious. I want you to aim for a 3 to 8 month development cycle. Now, all of this isn't fully relevant if you haven't released a single game, like a single game on itch.io or even Steam. I want you to release crap games and just get them done. This stuff here is really for like if you're ready to make that first commercial game. That first game where you make some money. Okay? These are good goals for that first commercial release. I'm not saying you can't do a first commercial release, but most people, they probably need to release crap games, like maybe 1 or 2 crap games on itch.io and just get it done. Then you can start aiming for this. Paddle 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 did a great job. And by the way, the Paddle 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 developer released some games that didn't do great. And finally, this is what they did. And I think they went well beyond 150K in revenue. But the aim was there. A treat, $3 to $10. And it doesn't have to be slop. It doesn't have to be friend slop. It can be a small, delicate, beautiful art piece. That's totally fine. But I need you to think of it as small and precious. Does that make sense? You might be looking for a snack, but I'm hungry for a 5-course meal. Hey, then you're going to go spend $60, man. You know? 60, $70 for a AAA game. That's the thing is everybody forgets that price is this weird, like, it's like looking at a constellation, or it's like looking at the stars and figuring out where your destination is. That's what price is. You go, okay, am I aiming for that star or am I aiming for that star? Think about price in the sky. It's a weird metaphor, but that's kind of how I think about it. It's like, do I want to aim for the North Star, which is $60, or do I want to go right over there to that $5 star? And the journey is going to be completely different if you aim for a $3 game versus a $20 game. Massively different. And I'm passionate about this because I am so angry at myself for pursuing $25 all the time. A $25 game is a big budget game. Now, obviously, it's a bell curve. You're going to have some outliers where people just released a $25 game and it took them 5 months. But usually it's 2 to 5 years, especially if you're solo. Does that make sense? Okay. So, great job. Yay, I love my idea. Good. Yay, I think I can finish it. I think I can finish it in 10 months. Good job. Congratulations. Now, let's begin building the game. Okay, remember what we talked about here? We have 2 quadrants here. We go in a circle. We start over here and go around. We figured out that we love it, and we figured out that we'll finish it. Now, how do we figure out if they love it? Who's they? Playtesters. People. Real people. How do we figure out if they will love it? We don't guess. You can, I guess. I've done that. I've done that for 3 projects. I've guessed. Yeah, I guess these playtesters will love it. And then I never tested it and I just went for it. It paid off, but it was brutal. And it didn't pay off, well, maybe as much as it could have. So what I want you to do is, now that you know you love a game idea, now that you know you're going to finish it, we're not going to build the oil rig just yet. We're going to build a test. Okay? So we want to begin building a prototype. But the prototype is not the game. We're not building the game. In our head, we're thinking, okay, let's build a prototype. We really need to use this prototype to figure out, will they love it? Will the playtesters love it? Will these playtesters love it? This is what so many game developers don't do, because let's be honest, most of you are insecure. I'm insecure. You're too scared. You're too scared to let people play your game idea. Okay? So here's how we figure out if they love it. This is the third quadrant. These are all the things we need to test, or these are all the things that need to be true before we pursue building our giant oil rig, before we build our giant game. So you test your two things, the idea that you love and the idea that you can finish. You're now going to build a prototype, and you're going to test that prototype with an audience. Don't make the game. I mentioned this before. Make a hyper-polished demo. Now, sometimes, we'll talk about this in a sec, but a lot of game devs will say, well, just do a prototype. Don't polish it. Don't add any juice. Don't add any music. Don't add any graphics. I disagree. We'll talk about it in a second. I believe that you need to make a hyper-polished demo. Okay, you need to make a hyper-polished demo. And sometimes I'll call this like a prove me type as opposed to a prototype. A prove me type is like, okay, this thing is fully polished. It's a 15-minute demo, it's fully polished. And then we test that. We build 15 minutes of glory, just absolute glory. And we test this in its full 15-minute glory with not social media, not necessarily. We don't test it with people who live across the world necessarily. We want to test this with real people, human beings. Do you know what a human is? Like a real human. Sitting next to you, I can't tell you how many times I've sat right here and someone was in my chair and I tested and I wrote down on this notepad every freaking thing they said. Let them spew out their stream of consciousness as they play your 15 minutes of glory. And you test it and you write it down. And I want you to expect to get thousands of painful pieces of feedback. You fix those things and you circle back and you do it again. Playtest. Do it again. Playtest. Do it again. If after maybe 2 or 3 playtesting sessions, you get a good vibe that it's actually fun, whoa, you're ready to move on to the next circle in the quadrant. But guess what? Is it boring? If it's boring, and no matter how many times you try to fix stuff, it's just boring, guess what? You probably need to kill it. Fun, I'm sorry. Some people don't like to hear this, but fun is a really good indicator as to whether a game has a solid premise, is a solid idea. Is it fun? Or is it boring? Games are supposed to be fun. But Thomas, Half-Life is a story game. Half-Life it's an art piece. Yeah, but even Gabe Newell said that. He said, we're not trying to recreate real life here. We're trying to make something fun. That's the goal. You want it to be fun. And so we're trying to figure out if playtesters think a game is fun. That's it. Okay? Doesn't mean you can't make a beautiful art piece. But if it's boring, it loses. You're going to lose if it's boring. All right, part 2 of Do They Love It? I've heard some devs say to just make a crappy looking prototype and to just gray box and don't really worry about sound and don't really worry about polish and just focus on the mechanics. I guess I agree with this, to a degree. But sometimes the fun in a game is just it's just the juice. It's that screen shake. It's the sound effects. It's the really cool song that plays on the menu. It's that juicy UI. It's the bouncing of the player's body in the platformer. You know, it's just all of the juice and the it's the the fun factor is determined by all of these small levels of polish. Now, obviously, you want to test the mechanics and see if the loop is working in its most bare bone form. But I think ultimately, you really want to test a polished prototype with all of the juice. Okay. And by the way, juice is great sound. It's great music. It's great player feedback. By feedback, I mean when the player presses a button, they get something. It's that impact. It's that sound. It's that reaction to the player's movement that makes them feel like the world, like they're immersed in the world. I don't think it's as simple as just gray boxing and adding a unique mechanic in a loop. I think without polish, you're going to get incorrect feedback from shallow or simple gamers. That's me, by the way. I'm a shallow, simple gamer. I have always been one. I don't let myself get invested in a game if it doesn't give me a sugary, sweet, juicy experience right out of the gate. I don't want you to make a really cool, like, imagine this. You have this really cool loop. You have these really cool mechanics. It's a really unique concept, but it's not juicy. The music sucks. There's no sound. And players say, I'm just bored. And you're like, I guess the mechanics suck. And it's like, no, the mechanics don't suck. Those are actually good mechanics. There's just not a lot of juice there. Finally, the fourth part of the quadrant. This is where it's, maybe controversial to say this, but just because they love it doesn't mean it's marketable. Now, you might say, Thomas, I don't care if my game does well. As a solo developer, I don't care if my game gets a lot of players and makes a lot of money. That's awesome. I'm happy for you, seriously. But I want you to make some money. I think it's really rewarding to make some money. And if you're going to spend 10 months on a project, I want you to make some money. And that's where marketability comes in. Believe it or not, marketability is not the same as lovability. They can be. Like, a great game can propel itself on Steam, and it just works because players keep playing it. But I don't think I would risk or hedge my bets on that. Marketability is different than playability, or like the fun factor. An example of this is thumbnails on YouTube. A thumbnail and a title, that's the click-through rate. That's very different than the retention, which is the watchability of a video. They're two completely different things. The same is true, not as different in the game world, but they are different. Marketability, the thumbnail, the capsule art, the trailer, the game, how it looks and presents itself on social media and TikTok and with streamers, that's different than, is it a fun, playable game? They're different things. So let's talk about marketability. This is the fourth thing that needs to be true before you build out your full game. Okay. So, how do we figure out if a game is marketable? Well, we know we love it. We know we can finish it. And we also know that play testers are enjoying the game. Great. Now let's figure out, is this marketable? So again, we're not going full force into finishing the game yet. As a solo developer, I want you to take it slow and be careful, step by step. Okay, how we doing? We good in the chat? I'm ranting here. Are we good? The juice can make a fun game incredibly satisfying, but it will never make a boring game fun. I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't think I agree with that. I think that for some reason, some things can be just really fun with good juice. I agree with you for the most part. But it doesn't, sometimes you'll see outliers where it's like, it's just fun because it's just juicy. But I think I agree with you for the most part. Yeah. But juice certainly helps, doesn't it? All right, is it marketable? Well, let's figure out, how do we do this? How do we know if a game is marketable? Well, you release a demo on Steam. Now, we're not really going to be worried about the reviews, although those are important. It's good to get good reviews. But we really want to see the traction. Am I getting wish lists from this demo? And that means that people are looking at the Steam page and they're going, this looks interesting to me. I'm going to wishlist. Does your Steam page struggle to get traction? Are you just not getting wish lists? Does the trailer struggle to get views? Have you ever released a trailer how many of you have released a trailer on YouTube? And like, no matter how long it's been up, it just doesn't get views. Well, it's not because YouTube hates you. It's because for some reason that thumbnail or that capsule art or the screenshots or the footage is just boring. It's just not working. Or no matter how hard you try, again, you're just not getting wish lists. Maybe nobody's really interested in streaming your game, right? And maybe when it is streamed, nobody watches and it just sort of fizzles out. Clips, images never seem to pop off on social media. No matter how hard you try, this clip or the screenshots for the game, nobody comments, nobody has anything really interesting to say. I understand you may only have like 20 followers on Twitter. I get that. But a great clip and a great screenshot will find traction eventually. It's a rule of thumb. I don't think it's always true, but it's a good rule of thumb. It's always it eventually will find traction if it's an interesting looking game. Also, here's one that's really interesting. Do your friends or your family, when you tell them your game idea or when you show them the screenshots or when you show them footage on your phone, are they like, yeah, that's fun, yay, and they pat you on the back? What you're looking for, whether it's social media, YouTube, like a trailer, or you're talking to your friends or your family, what you're looking for is people saying, oh, wow, hey, oh, or you made that, or wait, you did that? You made this game? Or the best one is when they have ideas. This is a real good indicator that your game is marketable. When somebody goes, oh, what if you did this? Or what if you made that? If you ever get comments that are like, oh, this looks really cool. What if you tried this? Or that's a great idea. What if you tried that? That's a good indicator that it's marketable. I think the ultimate indicator that something's marketable, that your game demo or your prototype is marketable, is it's getting wish lists. That's a good indicator because Steam's going to push out your game more and more and more if it's getting wish lists. It doesn't mean you don't have to grind and fight for it. Sometimes you have to fight to breathe life into a game. I understand that. But it should kind of work for itself. And believe me, I've been there when it just doesn't seem to work. And you're just fighting for something that just keeps dying on the vine. I get that. And I'll prove it. This game's called Brave Boy. We talked about it earlier. Look, I liked Brave Boy. I fit that first quadrant. I loved it. My friends liked Brave Boy. The people who played the game, my team, people who were playing the game, they liked it. Okay, good. That the second quadrant is true. Number 3, I could finish it. Yeah, it's not a huge game. I could finish it. But I released the demo and nobody really played it. The wish list didn't happen. It was one of my worst performing trailers. It just stopped. Just didn't work. So I killed the game. It's dead. Okay? And I know some of you are sad in the chat, but I'm like, come on, the wish lists aren't coming in. Now, could it be that it actually was a good game and it needed to be finished? Sure. Could it be that your 2 queens in your hand are going to win the game? Maybe. Do I want to go all in? No. No, I don't. It is like gambling. I was just talking to American McGee about this. He's the creator of Alice Madness Returns. Podcast is dropping in a couple days. He said that making games is like gambling, and it really is. If you want to spend 10 months solo and you want to finish a game when nobody's wishlisting it, go for it. Seriously, go for it. But I'm just telling you my strategy moving forward. As a business owner, as a father, as a husband, on my 4th commercial release, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to go all in again on a project that just doesn't seem to work. I'm not going to do it. So those are the 4 steps, guys. Okay. Once you've found the game idea you love, once you have that the game where it's small enough in scope that you can finish it in 10 months, if it's loved by testers and for some reason it's just getting wish lists. I'm not talking like 40,000. I'm talking like maybe you got 1,000 or 5,000 wish lists. Okay. There you go. You found the oil field. You found the oil field. Like this old man, this AI generated man, he found oil, and some of it's gold too. Look. It's spraying out of the ground. That's because he fit those 4 quadrants. Okay. Obviously, guys, I'm trying to put this down into a framework that makes sense to you and makes sense to me. There's no hard, fast rules with game dev. It's a big problem with giving game dev advice on YouTube. There's rules of thumb, but they're not hard, fast rules. Okay? So at that point, I think it's a wise decision to be ready to build. Okay? You're ready to build this AI-generated oil rig. You're ready to extend your demo into a full-fledged game that you love, that you know you'll finish, that you know people will love, and that you know will gather some wish lists and hopefully ultimately sales. That's the goal, okay? Look, and by the way, I want to let you know, you can build a gorgeous branded pitch website or a Kickstarter campaign page or a Steam page, and you can use that to actually, this is so weird, sell your demo before you even finish the game. So it's not only that you get confirmation that, okay, good, I can build an oil rig. What I've done in the past with 3 games is I've actually gone full time with just that demo. So I've found the oil, and then I go, hey, I call up Billy. Billy, I know you got $5 million. Do you want to invest in this oil rig? Oh, did you find oil, sir? Well, let me send you a picture about of the oil field and the data to convince you to give me some money. Billy, does that sound good? Oh, that sounds amazing, Thomas. That's what I do. I call up publishers, or I reach out to people on crowdfunding, to an audience on crowdfunding, and I get money before I even finish the game, and I go full time. Okay, I've done this with Pinstripe. I did it with Neversong, those 2 games there. And yes, I actually did release those on Steam. I'm sorry, Switch. So those aren't just fake renderings. I mean, they are fake renderings because I just drew them up, but it actually happened. And this is a cool box set here. So I'm not just full of crap. I say that because it's like, I think people see YouTubers and they're just like, screw you, dude. And I'm like, no, I actually did this. I really did. I really did make games. And they didn't go viral. Well, that's my point, is you don't have to go viral. You can make small, tight games and make money from them and actually do physical releases, which is really cool. So this, by the way, this is the pitch deck for my demo that I did for Twisted Tower. Thomas, that doesn't look like Twisted Tower. Yeah, that's my point. It was a prototype. It was a tiny little prototype, totally different game at the time. It was proven to a degree. I wish I had proven it more, if I'm being completely honest. But I sold that to 3D Realms and got funded and went full-time and hired a full-time team. We did hit budget cuts, and that was painful, and that's a whole other story. But I'm moving forward, and the game will be released, thank God. So I wish I did this plan, I wish I did this plan, or I understood this plan when I first started, because I worked 5 years on a full game, Pinstripe. What I could have done is I could have made a solid demo. I thought, well, okay, maybe I need to get a degree in game development, or maybe I need to go viral, or maybe I need to be super talented and make this huge game. And what I realized is, oh, you can actually just make a prototype. You can make a little demo, prove that, sell it to a publisher, and get a paycheck quickly. Is it easy? No. Am I just saying like, you're going to get rich? No, I'm saying that it's possible to create a demo using those 4 quadrants, or those three quadrants. Make a demo, and number 1, sell it to a publisher, or number 2, sell it on Kickstarter, or number 3, get pre-orders. Wish lists. Wish lists are kind of pre-orders because they converted about 5 to 20%. Look, the truth is most indies are successful. Most successful indies know that they find the great game idea and then they start to sell it. So that they get the great game idea and they take that demo and they start getting wish lists. That's what I mean by start to sell it. Getting wish lists is in a way starting to sell the game. It's almost like getting stock, but not realizing the gains of the stock, not selling it. That's kind of what wish lists are, as long as you finish the game. But you can also sell it to publishers. You can also sell it on Kickstarter. And selling happens before, during, and after production. So ultimately, here's the thing. This is where I jump into a quick ad read for you guys. The rest is history for me. Whether it's Pinstripe, Neversong, or Twisted Tower, lots and lots of funding was raised with my games, with just demos. Okay, I know it sounds like pie in the sky. I know it sounds like BS, but I've done it 3 times. Went full-time three different times with 3 games. And it's not that I just, got funded on Kickstarter or got funded and that was it. But on the tail end, on production, hit the Steam front page, got featured by Time Magazine, got featured by Washington Post, featured by PC Gamer, and made money. I'm still making money on Pinstripe Neversong. Twisted Tower, we'll see. I got to release that game. Got to get that one done. So here's my little ad read, okay? And then we'll move on to a big Q&A. I can't wait for the Q&A. I've been excited about this Q&A today. Look, at the end of the day, I wanted to do something about this for you guys. So there is a big Black Friday sale. I mentioned at the beginning of today's workshop. Big Black Friday sale. If you want to learn all this stuff, not only how to make games in Unity, Godot, or Unreal, if you want to learn how to do 2D art, 3D art, or YouTube, those are free courses included, by the way. It's 50% off. 50% off. So you're going to get all 4 of those free courses with just because of the Black Friday sale. But also you're going to learn how to pitch to publishers, how to do Kickstarter, how to hit the Steam front page, how to reach out to the press, how to reach out to streamers, how to make a beautiful game in Godot, Unity, or Unreal. Unity is, I think that's the biggest portion of the course, but you can also learn Unity or Godot or Unreal if you want. 2D or 3D. I think there's 50 seats left. These are starting to sell a lot faster than they did last week. So it's starting to pick up. So if you want to join, there's 50 seats left. This is the biggest sale I've done. So let's jump into the Q&A really quick. I wanted to let you know, I'm not just full of crap. These are actually people who went full time. Pretty wild. Philippe, Chris at Squid Shot Game, he's a friend of mine now. Soltar, Antonio actually went full time. Chris did a Kickstarter campaign, got raised $130,000, 130% of the funding. But I think it was 160,000 or something. And he said, Thomas Brush course works, everyone. So there you go. There's some proof in the pudding. Soltar said, I took his words to heart and I took the plunge with my brother. We ended up getting a VR game funded, which is really cool. Thanks to the course. This is from Antonio. Thanks to the course, I shipped my first commercial game to PC and console, and I managed full-time game dev for almost 2 years. So pretty cool. Awesome reviews. There's a lot more reviews. I think there's a handful more of reviews on the website, but let's go ahead. Bart went full-time as well. Love Bart. Bart is he shows up in the stream a lot. Oh, and by the way, bonus really quick, bonus for the black, and then I'll shut up. Bonus for the Black Friday sale. 2 free full hour mastermind meetings with Thomas in a small group intimate setting. You might think 100 people are going to show up, but it's usually just like 20 people show up for this mastermind meeting, and there's 2 of them for a full hour. We hang out, have a good time on Discord. I try and answer questions, and I'll do like an audit for Steam pages or an audit for ideas. So really cool. And I love hanging out with you guys. So let's jump into the Q&A here. And yeah, by the way, thanks for listening to the ad read, guys. I know that those can be annoying, but I really do believe in it. And it's also Black Friday, so I figured I'd let you know. Okay, what do you guys want to do here? You want to do a Q&A? Let's jump into the Q&A. By the way, tomorrow, you're probably thinking, well, what's the workshop for tomorrow? Well, we found the oil, right? Now we're going to talk about building the oil rig. And it's tough. As a solo, it's tough. But we're going to talk about building that oil rig. And you're thinking, it's a huge oil rig. No. You're thinking wrong. We're just going to take that prototype and extend it just a little bit. We're not going to build $1 billion oil rig. We're just going to build something small. And remember that word? Precious. That's what I'm going to do next year. for my 4th commercial release. All right. Hope that was helpful, guys. Let's jump into the Q&A. Let's jump into the Q&A. Out of Space, thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Out of Space, that was sweet of you to say. Call up Bruce Willis. I thought about Bruce Willis the other day. I took a Benadryl, and apparently Benadryl causes dementia. Sadly, poor Bruce Willis, he's got dementia. Makes me so sad. Deepwater Horizon, yes. There's another oil rig movie out. Me and my wife watched it, and it's got who does it have in it? And I just played a game on an oil rig. And I did a video. It's my most recent video on YouTube. I guess I'm thinking a lot about oil rigs these days. All right, love your podcast. It helps me get through a lot of slogs. At some point, I get bored with my game after months of development. How do you deal with this? I think about the money. Thomas is such a shill, and all he cares about is money. Guys, I got kids. I got a wife. I got mortgage. And by the way, nobody said that in the chat. I'm just thinking, like, I say this a lot. A lot of people say, well, how do you power through? And I'm like, I'm running a business. That helps a lot. When you think of game development as running a business, sorry, it is. You're building a product to sell. It helps so much. I don't let, I'm bored of my game. I don't let that drive my motivations. And in fact, you might be thinking, well, that's because it's your job now. I thought that way before it was my job. When I was working on Pinstripe and it was my part-time, it wasn't even a part-time job. I wasn't making money. When I was working on that in the off hours of work, I thought about it the same way. I was like, I'm not quitting this game because I know it's going to make me money. So yeah, residual income is my motivation. That's from CTEEE123. Man, I nailed that. How do you get those first 100 true fans? You post on social media. Stop being afraid. You make a Steam page. Guys, so many of you in the chat are scared to put up that Steam page, but the game's not ready. What are you doing? Put up the Steam page. Stop being a baby. I look like Bruce Willis when I shave my head, and I also take Benadryl. How would you go about making a good linear story-based game demo? Could you go into depth on that? I really enjoy story games. Would love to make some. Oh, dude, I have so many thoughts for you. Every 5 seconds, something needs to happen. It's at least something to shoot for. Every 5 to 10 seconds, I want you to make something happen. In fact, I'm not joking, and I'm not bragging either. I'm just saying it's crunch time. I was up at 5 a.m. this morning, adding dust particles that fall from the ceiling. When you walk into a trigger zone, it goes, and you hear footsteps. That's what I was adding to my game. That kind of stuff is really, really important. And by the way, credit goes to Chad at 3D Realms, or Saber. He's at Saber. Saber's the parent company of my third publisher, 3D Realms. And he and I had a chat last week. We had a Chad last week. And he said, hello, where are the dust particles, Thomas? I want dust particles. And then I didn't add the dust particles. And then the next meeting after that, he was like, dude, where are the dust particles? I said, can I add the dust particles later? And by the way, they don't like control me. I just really value their opinion. I said, maybe I'll add it like a month before we release the game. And he was like, no, this is like crucial to your game. This makes or breaks your game. These little things matter. So if you're going to make a story game and you're going to make a 15-minute polished demo, you got to add that stuff. Little things, a voice down the hall, thunder, you see the lightning hit a tree. You walk on a pile of leaves and it, you hear a voice in the woods. A tree falls. Those triggered sequences are what we call what? Starts with an I. Does anyone know what that is? Those little triggered sequences in a linear story game. And by the way, this applies to 2D platformers. This applies to friend slop to a degree, especially with a demo. What do we call that? It starts with an I. Okay, we'll move on to the next question, but it starts with an I. Is Kickstarter still viable? How long has crowdfunding been a thing? Immersion. That's right, Kevin. Good job, bud. Not interaction. Integral. Nope. Immersion. Immersion. It's not really juice. That's immersion. They're different. Juice is like impact sounds, blood sounds, right? That's part of immersion, but it's not necessarily juice. That's immersion. Jehovah. What? What was the question? Is Kickstarter still viable? Yes, Kickstarter is still viable. Because crowdfunding is always viable. Now, look, here's the thing. Kickstarter used to be extremely viable because Kickstarter had a ton of traffic. Okay? Kickstarter was the reason why projects would get funded. Now I would say you better build an audience before you try to do your Kickstarter campaign. Like if Thomas decided to do a Kickstarter campaign now, what would Thomas do? I sure as hell wouldn't go through Kickstarter. Probably not. I'm going to build my own website page. I'm going to use Kajabi. You could even use Teachable if you wanted. You can use a bunch of these platforms that sell digital products where you can build a storefront. Just do your own countdown timer, 30 days. Put together a brochure webpage and then have a little buy now or a support now button. Do it yourself. You don't need Kickstarter. That's why I just want to say it's so important as you guys are developing your projects. Do you notice this whole thing about solo development? It involves people and it involves a community. I want you to build an audience, okay, so that you can have 1,000 people show up to your campaign when it's ready. Now, if you don't have that, I get it. You can use Kickstarter because Kickstarter is going to drive traffic to your project. In fact, I don't even know the data. My suspicion is Kickstarter is not as popular as it used to be. That's my suspicion. I don't know if that's true. But they have newsletters. They send it to hundreds of thousands of people, I'm sure. Hitting the front page of Kickstarter is very valuable. So, okay, any other questions here? Let's keep moving on. By the way, just don't forget, those of you who are joining us just now, don't forget that you can join Full-Time Game Dev, and I will give you a shout out tomorrow in the new students splash page here. Feel free to join Full-Time Game Dev. It's a massive discount, the biggest bundle I've ever done. So please check that out below if you're interested. And by the way, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. I don't want your money if you don't like the course. Seriously. So 30-day money-back guarantee. You don't even have to email me. You can email my assistant Hector. He's not going to argue with you. He's going to give you your money back. No questions asked. You have 30 days to do that. So no real risk there. Anyway, okay. This is from Elg. From your experience, for the next project, will you go solo, contractors, or salaried employees? Boy, if I was to make a AA game, I would do salaried employees. And I'm writing this down because it helps me think. I would do salaried employees. I would do like a team of 5, and it would be a 2-year project, and it would be like $2 million. And I don't think I'm going to do a AA game. Like if Twisted Tower goes gangbusters, I'm going to do a AA game. But if it doesn't, if it's just fine, I'll do a small indie game, just me solo. Yeah. And I'll use by solo. What I mean is it's a little bit different than the last time I was solo. The last time I was solo, I was like full on solo, except for the console port. In this case, I'll be solo, but I'll have contractors here and there helping with like tiny things like localization here, QA there, bug fixes here, like video editing for like marketing stuff here, social media manager here, that kind of thing. Yeah. How do I start again? So this is from, I started learning to make games in Unity a year ago. This is from Fahoud. A year ago, but kind of gave up. How do I start again? Oh man, it's so easy. It's so easy. I've got all the answers. For me, my answer would be you're going to start again when you get excited about a project. So you find that project that you're excited about and you pursue that. And then you'll get back into game dev. But I want you to pursue something in that second quadrant, remember? it's manageable and it's something that you can actually finish. Otherwise, you're just not going to finish it, right? Thomas, tell us. No, I will not tell you my secrets. You have to pay for them. No, I'm trying to be as honest as I can here and give you as much advice as I can. I recently had a game idea that I think is viable. Is there anything you suggest I make before the prototype? No, don't do. I mean, you could do like a GDD, that's fine, but just get that prototype made. Start working on that prototype and start testing that prototype and polish it as you make it, like we talked about, and get it in front of players. Get it in front of players. Okay? Please. Please, 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 please. Guys, I know you're scared. Me too. And I've been doing this a long time. I know it's scary to say, Mom, can you please come over to my house and play my game? I know that's scary. Dad, Jimmy, I know I haven't talked to you since senior year of high school. Can you come over and play my game? I know you really, really like Mario 64. It's kind of like that. I know that's scary to have them come over to your house. Now, I'm not dead serious, by the way. I am not joking when I say someone needs to walk through this door and it's 10 p.m. and they just put their kids to bed and they come and they sit down on this chair and you say, okay, play my game. And I'm not going to backseat. And you sit back and you write notes. That is what playtesting is. That's what I want you to do. And I don't want you to finish your game until you've played. I don't want you to pursue finishing your game until you've had people play it and offer you feedback. And here's the thing. And this, guys, this is coming. I'm not just like blowing smoke or like making crap up. Thomas Brush is a YouTube faker who's just making crap up. I'm telling you what I have done in the last year and what I've learned and what I regret. Like, I regret this so much that I didn't do this more. I want you to have a prototype that's 5 to 15 minutes long, and I want it on your PC, and I want you to have people test it and tell you what's working so that you can focus on what's working when you finish the game. Because so many developers, they try and finish their game based on assumptions that they've made up in their head, not what playtesters have told them. You need playtesters to say, hey, I really, really liked digging. Remember that one sequence where you dig? I actually want to dig. That's all I want to do. I want to dig. Or what players tell me, Thomas, I really like breaking the balloons. What? The game's a horror game. No, but I really like the balloons. No, but the game's not about... Can you do more balloons? What? Are you kidding me? So that's what playtesting is. It tells you these things that you had no idea about, but that's what players want. That's what players want. Does that make sense? Okay. The Turtle Tank says, Thomas Brush is just a YouTube faker that is making stuff up, I swear. But it's definitely an insecurity that I have. I love to teach. I love to teach and I love to do YouTube. And I'm also a businessman and I'm also a marketer and I also like to talk. And so it's an insecurity I have. It really is. And I know you're joking. I know you're joking. Do you think small guy... I'm speaking in a British accent here. This is from Home Games. Do you think small games are little pocket novels market-wise? Because it seems a bit random to me. Yeah, I would say they're like pocket novels. That's a good way to put it. Sure. Look, they're small. They're bite-sized. They're fun. They're cute. They're also meaningful to a lot of people. Of course. Price is just a really good indicator of what it is. If it's $5, it's like a pocket novel. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, let's see here. Players want balloons. I'm writing all of this down. I mean, but there's that is such an important thing that I told you. And it's because it was important to me. Discovering that that's what players loved the most. Looting, like, I'm serious, like people would play Twisted Tower and they'd be like, yeah, like I really like the loot. I like looting cabinets. What? Yeah, really love the balloons. What? Did you like the guns? We spent like $30,000 making these cute guns. No. I like the balloons. And I wish we would have known that when we first started making I wish I knew that the balloons were so valuable. Why? Because I would just drum that up. Balloons, all kinds of balloons. Star balloons, banana balloons, balloon mini games. The whole shebang. That's why playtesting is so important. All right, what do we got here? I think real guns would have been cheaper. Yeah, exactly. Wow, we have 832 people watching. This is amazing. I hope, guys, has this been helpful at all? I hope it was. You know, I was putting this together this morning and I was thinking, I wonder if this is all just stuff that I've learned that's not really that valuable. So I hope it was helpful to you guys. Lots of people here. Loya says, I think suffering for your art is beautiful. There is something there. It is a balance. I'll be honest with you guys. Real honest here. I'm not making this up. Suffering for your art is really hard when you have a family. Because nobody likes their dad to be suffering when he comes downstairs. So it's not a good thing to do long term. So there's beauty in that, but it's not good for your family. So you just want to be careful with that. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? How do you get ideas if you don't have any ideas? Well, play great games and get inspired by games. I mean, that's really how you do it. Yeah. That's really how you do it. All right, guys, we're going to have another webinar tomorrow, and the webinar is all about taking those ideas and actually making the game. There's a whole process of production there. Thank you so much again to Manuel, Eric, Reynaso, Damien, Edmund, Thurston, Adam. And if you guys, let's see here. I'm sorry, I forgot here. Ankamo, Jero, Morgan, Zer, David, Victor, and Rhiannon. Thank you so much for joining Full-Time Game Dev. Guys, it is Black Friday, so you know I'm going to shout this out as much as I can for the 2 weeks. And actually, there's only 6 days left, so you know I'm going to shout this thing out because it's my biggest sale of the year, and it also helps fund Twisted Tower in its final development. Thomas, I thought you were funded by 3D Realms. Yeah, we had budget cuts, man. It was hard. That was a hard month. Had to let some people go. The only person I didn't let go was me. And I've been so thankful for you guys because you show up during these sale events and it just supports the channel. So thank you so much. 30-day money back guarantee, guys. No questions asked. If this course isn't for you, you get a refund immediately. I'm talking maybe 24 hours, you get a refund. But it's fit. You're not going to really want one because you might, but most people don't want one because it's a great course. It's 50% off. You're going to learn so much. You're going to get my 2D Art Pro and 3D Art program and my YouTube program completely free, and my Stream My Game program, which teaches how to reach out to streamers. Hitting the Steam front page, getting publishers, reaching out to the press, making a game in Unity, Godot, or Unreal, staying motivated, coming up with great game ideas. There's so much in this course. So click the link below, check it out, see if it's something for you. Guys, I love you. I'll see you in tomorrow's live stream. And I think today I'll also have a live stream for, oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Andres. Keep up the good work, Thomas. You're doing more good for people than you know. Sometimes I don't feel that way, to be completely honest. But thank you. I really appreciate that. Guys, I love you so much. And I really am so thankful for you guys. And sometimes I take you for granted because I get burnt out by YouTube or something. But I am so thankful for you guys. God bless you, seriously, and have a happy Thanksgiving. But I'll see you tomorrow. And I'll also see you during a live stream today if I have time to play some of your games and offer some feedback. Please, y'all, stay grateful for your family. Stay grateful for your friends. Don't work too hard, and don't feel like you need to be miserable making games. Make games that you love. Make games that are within your budget. meaning your mental budget, your schedule and your time, and make games that people want to play. Test them with testers. And then finally, this one's optional, and I'm just going over what we talked about, but to wrap up here, make a game that's marketable. You don't have to, but I'm just looking out for you. I don't want you to make a game that can't sell, because that sucks. I want you to make a game that can sell. So watch this webinar over again, and just so you don't make the mistakes that I've made.